Welcome to CGDC's Community Spotlight. Tonight we have a really special show. I'm joined here with my friend Gavin, who is doing some super cool stuff in Japan, and he's going to share with us what God is doing. Welcome, Gavin.
Thank you for having me, Brock. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, yeah, of course. So glad to connect. So before we jump into all the cool stuff God's doing in Japan with games, how about you share a little bit about yourself?
For sure. My name is Gavin Wimalachandran. I am located in Toronto, Canada, and I am a Christian game developer that wants to share the gospel of Christ through video games, pretty much.
Yeah. And how long have you been involved in CGDC?
Since 2017, actually. I joined you guys since then.
Nice. And so what have you been up to in that time?
It's been on and off for me. I think I've been joining in some projects with CGDC, and afterwards I kind of gave up on gaming and I wanted to do a different career. Eventually,
what career was that?
Yeah, I wanted to do like medical lab technician and like basically anything but video games afterwards. Yeah, I've sort of kind of drifted away from that because game industry is quite difficult at that time. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting. I'm kind of getting back into gaming, particularly Christian video games.
And how did what called you back?
Well, I've originally wanted to be a missionary for Japan in particular. I wanted to do church planning. After medical lab technician and all that, I wanted to do I had a really strong heart for Japanese community, particularly Hikikomori. And I wanted to basically serve those communities. But the more and more I try to serve them, it was quite difficult to really understand and reach out to a lot of different people. Afterwards I discovered oh, wait a minute, something that I really like, gaming, is also something that Hikikomori people really liked. And it kind of sparked that creative itch where I can share the gospel through something that they like. So that's how I kind of got back into the gaming.
Oh, that's super cool. What is the Hikikomori community?
The Hikikomori community is primarily just shut-ins, young adults, 15 to much older. You could go up to 50s or it's just a community of people that are socially reclusive, and it's highly nuanced situation in Japan, and it's a global phenomenon. But in Japan, it's highly prevalent, 2 million plus people. Wow. And it's just socially withdrawn people that are just fed up with society or fed up with family expectations, and they couldn't get a career. Like I said, it's highly nuanced and extremely generalizing how Hikikomori are. But if we were to have a perspective on their life, it's just hopelessness. It's just meaningless, endless living, and it's all vain, and they're only just stuck in their houses, just living off of their parents' income or government support. So the main hobby they do is web surfing or reading manga or comic book or watching anime or playing video games, which is a very huge hobby in Japan.
So it sounds like the majority are unemployed?
Yes. Primarily, most of them are unemployed. You can have rare cases where there are employed people that can be Hikikomori considered.
Just working remotely from home and stuff?
Yeah. But it's kind of socially withdrawn. They're not exact. But yeah, majority of them are unemployed as well.
And how did you find out about them, and how did you get called to specifically them?
That's interesting. I knew about them for a really long time, actually. I grew up in like, I'm one of those like who those like Y2K kids that just kind of grew up in the 2000s, and you just watch like all the cool Pokemon and the hype things that come from Japan, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of those, like kind of my generation and their generation, we kind of be familiar with that uprising on online communities, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think I also went through like a bit of a shut-in phase myself, where I was also jobless. I mentioned earlier with the game industry, right?
Yeah.
I was also like, I was struggling to get a job because of my inadequacy of like, you know, uh, getting more of a profession in the game industry. So I think it is like, I think it's a product of the age, in my opinion. Like because of how much exposure we're having to media and how much entertainment, and you could probably imagine like just fast consumption on like different things going on. It's easy to be lazy and be a couch potato, and Japan has that, a lot of like support for these people as well, right? Like financial support. So it's quite easy to kind of just not do anything and be a shut in. We have that in Canada as well, like different government support, right?
Well, that sounds really unfortunate. So what's God been having you do to help them?
Yeah, I simply want to just follow God's will on on this. My favorite, sort of like my interest in Christian mission stemmed from a missionary called, his name is David Brainerd, and he's been kind of my biggest inspiration to kind of share the gospel and to live, daily for Christ. So when I had a desire to, serve as a missionary, serve for these people in particular, they they're people that are considered lost cause by many missionaries and many churches, right? Like,
Why is that?
because they don't go out of their house. They don't have any means of reaching these people. Um, and like without a doubt, a country with like 125 million people, 2 million of them, they will never hear of Christ at all. They're just completely shut in. And it's easier to pursue college students or like build upon existing churches. And there are a lot of missionaries that do serve Hikikomori, but it is quite strenuous and quite difficult to help them out.
And how have those other missionaries been able to like connect with that community?
I believe that there are like some organizations, like for example, Quietude. It's an organization that I've been in touch with for a real long time. They are doing like reintegration of Hikikomori. So they actually help Hikikomori find jobs. They are located in Nagano, and I'm very close with the president of that community. I'm working closely with her right now to see how we can serve one another in this cause.
Awesome. So how do you see video games being used to share the gospel with them?
I'm glad you asked that, because I think we all at CGC people would agree that video games are probably the most powerful medium to tell a story, where the player, are actively engaged with um, with the experience, with the actual narrative that's being told, and they are directly in a like creating the consequences for whatever actions they choose, right? So I feel for anyone that is engaged with gaming, like people who play video games want to have a great experience. They want to feel like they want to see a great story being told. And what better story is there to tell than the love of Jesus?
Hmm.
So ultimately, that is the main reason why I'm like sticking through the video games. And um, one person that actually like showed that to me was like Yona, who made And Roger and In Its Time, is because he recently won quite a bit of accolades through Tokyo Game Show, recently the GDC, and many people recognize how powerful the medium of gaming is.
And
And
Yona's a Japanese developer, right?
yeah, he's a Japanese Christian game developer that I've been in touch with since last year. And yeah, it was just not just him, but quite a bit of people, even within our own community, have that same desire of recognizing that gaming is like a new way of sharing Christ in a very profound way.
And you were in Japan recently and plan to go back, right?
Yes, I'll be going back to Japan around next month.
Okay. And when you were there, you gathered some developers, some Christian developers. Is that right?
Yeah. So how that came about was like I was connected to some people through Facebook as well as Undark. Um, and I was just cold messaging some developers. Yona was the only Christian game developer I know from Japan. So I kind of like got X premium just to message him. And then he actually responded. And then I'm like, okay, is there any community of game developers and so forth? And also, I had like an ad through JEMA, an ad campaign through JEMA, and some people reached out and they wanted to kind of meet up. Yeah.
So explain JEMA to people.
So JEMA is Japanese Evangelical Missional Association, and they're a group of, well, it's like an umbrella organization that uh, basically collects a bunch of mission organizations. So we have like a missionary organization that's committed to telling the gospel through manga, and then there's also another organization that does like human trafficking, and you have another organization called Christian Community Arts that does like music arts. They share the gospel through that, and it's quite vast ministries. We have Tokyo Christian University, part of that. So it's like an umbrella organization for a bunch of different associate organizations. So they're kind of like associated with each other. They have annual conferences to meet up and discuss what is new with their ministries. So I recently joined them as like a ministry myself as well.
Okay. And what's your ministry called?
It's called CrossCode Network.
CrossCode Network. Cool. So tell me, what exactly do you have planned with that? What are you hoping God's going to do? Do you have some visions and stuff that He's been giving you?
Yeah. So like CrossCode Network is primarily just to bring Christian creatives together. Originally I wanted to be game developers, but unfortunately it's only like very few Christian game developers in Japan. So I kind of want to broaden it to different media like online manga and so forth. So I was thinking of reaching out to different communities within that, that's associated with JEMA, and kind of like bring them to this type of meetups that I've been kind of setting up. And through that, we can have some meaningful conversations, meaningful connections, perhaps even collaborate in some projects. And that could birth some new awesome ideas. It could be a really cool game that we can share the gospel through like a particular platform. So that's the whole point of this ministry is I want to have like I had like 3 points, which is like to create. So like have creators kind of come and like showcase their work, and then like connect. They will all network. They will build some relationships, and then the last one is commission, and that is where like I want to create these games or this entertainment and call them digital missional works. That's like my like kind of like term that I like pseudo coined or whatever. But digital missional works, and it's like entertainment, but it's disguised it's like a message, a biblical message disguised as entertainment. I want to present that to a hikikomori. It doesn't need to be hikikomori. It could be anyone who doesn't know about who will not encounter Christ any other way, but through this interactive piece of media.
Oh, that's really cool. Has JEMA done anything with games before, or how are they? It sounds like they're interested in what you're doing.
Yeah, they never have, as far as I know, they never did anything with games. In fact, gaming or even like CGC type of mentality is very new to Japan. Japan church in general is very traditional and is very um, like simple outreach, where it's just like doing street preaching, or you kind of just do university ministries, which is not, there's definitely nothing wrong with that, but they would describe it as very novel, like sharing sharing the gospel through video games.
Sure. When you gathered with other game developers, how many people showed up?
I think like 12 people or so.
12 people?
Yeah. It's half of them are missionaries and half of them were developers.
Okay.
5 of them were Japanese game developers even, which is surprising. Christian game developers where Japanese is quite rare. So I was very blessed to really meet those guys as well.
Yeah, and a lot of those guys didn't know each other before that, did they?
No. I think only two of them really knew each other. Yeah, or they just met at the Tokyo Game Show, but most of them didn't meet each other.
And what did they share anything about like their struggles? How hard is it being a Christian game developer in Japan?
Yeah, they all shared a similar struggle. And I think Yona in particular saw like actually, I hope I'm recalling this correctly, but when I first met Yona, he was surprised. He said, I never met another Christian game developer, period. That's like how he kind of described our encounter. He's like, oh my goodness, really cool. Like, I didn't know, like, I thought I was the only one that's a Christian game developer. So I shared about CGDC and he was like really surprised and impressed. It's quite closed world in Japan in regards to that. So, yeah.
So when do you go back?
April 9th, I'll be going back.
Okay. And what do you have planned for that next trip?
So it's just another gathering and another the main goal is, I mentioned the organization before, Quietude. My goal is to learn as much Japanese as possible and hopefully work with them in the future. The main president, Cha, she is a wonderful, God-fearing woman, and she was very gracious enough to really see the potential of this ministry. And I'm hoping, because she really works with the Hikikomori, I can grow alongside her with how to help these people and how I can create video games for this community. And eventually, in this 3 months, I'm hoping to primarily like learn Japanese as well as building more connections, more people. And I'm also going to BitSummit, which is an indie game conference where I think Nintendo and Game Freak and a lot of big game companies are going to have presence there, even though it's indie. So like, I'm quite excited of like what new people I will meet, and perhaps we can meet brothers and sisters in the faith through that. So yeah, just a lot of networking, a lot of learning, a lot of growth, and trying to try to be in the center of God's will. That's primarily the biggest reason I want to be here.
Great. If people want to help you, how can they be praying? How can they support you?
Yeah, I think prayer is the most important thing for me. I try my best not to ask for financial support because I don't know how to ask. But I could definitely ask for prayer. Prayer is probably the most important thing for me. And yeah, my heart is really just to serve God. So um if anything, I just pray like that whatever time I'm giving to God, it's just all for his glory.
Amen. Well, if anyone feels like God is telling them to support you financially, in addition to the prayer, how would they get in touch with you?
I think I will like have a website up soon, and I can perhaps I can share my email. Would that be okay to share on the video, or maybe?
Yeah, let's skip that. But we'll put once your website's up, we'll promote it on CGDC. So
that sounds good.
Yeah. Well, Gavin, we are so excited about what you're doing, and if there's anything as an organization we can do to help you, including financially, we are absolutely would love to help you. God's doing some exciting things from everything I hear, and I'm so excited that you get to be a part of it.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Brock. I really appreciate this.